Text me 81333. Start your text with the word late. Now, if you rode a motorbike when you were younger, and maybe you've recently had the urge to get another, every year an increasing number of people who rode bikes when they're in their late teens and early 20s are returning to biking, and lots of young guys are doing it as well. It seems to me there are more bikers on the roads these days. Have you ever fancied getting on two wheels? Let's talk to Philip Youles now, who owns Youles Motorcycles in Blackburn and Manchester. Philip, hello.
Hello.
It's good to see you. Are you a keen biker then?
I think that would probably be an understatement, really. Yeah, I'm absolutely... I've spent all my life with bikes, really. It's become a massive part of my life. Obviously, it started as a hobby, and it's become a business, but I still enjoy riding a bike.
So you were, what, 15, 16 when you got your first bike?
I was actually 17 when I got my first bike on the road. I could have had one at 16. I did have one at 16, and I never quite got enough money to pay the insurance while I was 16. I got slightly diverted. But as soon as I could, I passed my test, and off I went. And my family have all been into bikes. My father, my grandfather into bikes. Well, my grandfather was obviously dead, but he was into bikes, and it sort of runs in the family a bit, really.
You said before we came on air that your daddy's 77 and still riding a bike.
I might have to correct my age there. I think he's 76, actually. I'm not going to give his exact age away on air.
Sorry, Dad.
If you're listening, Dad, sorry about that. But no, he's in his 70s, and he still rides a bike regularly. Every week he's off out with his mates on a Sunday morning, and it's great to see, you know.
That's good. It is a very social thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you tend to find that when you get somewhere, you've had your helmet on for half an hour or whatever, and you take your helmet off and you want to talk to people, and and that's why people probably do talk to each other who have bikes, because you're sort of on your own, and it's a sort of solitary thing for a while. But then when you get somewhere, you want to talk to somebody.
Yeah, it's a bit of both, and certainly around here there are loads of places the bikers go.
Oh, there's some fantastic places. Knot End. It's quite popular on a Sunday morning. There's quite a big meet at St Anne's on a Monday night, particularly in the summer. That's really busy. Yeah. And then of course there's Devil's Bridge up at Kirkby Lonsdale there, which has been a well-known bikers' haunt for years on end.
So much so the cars can't park there at the weekend.
That's right. Yeah, it's motorbike only.
It's only bikers, and there's Rivington Barn as well.
Of course, yeah.
And kind of up the far north there, as you get towards Kirkby Lonsdale, there's a big kind of bike run around there, isn't it? Up from Kirkby Lonsdale towards Hawes, and then over towards Nelson. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. That's a nice ride. And people meet. There's a little lay-by in Caton. Bullbeck picnic area, people meet there as well.
I know the one you mean.
Do you know the one I mean? That's it. Yeah, that's a popular haunt. So there's quite a lot of places around here. I think the roads around here do lend themselves to bikes. There's some lovely roads, which is brilliant.
So you were 16 from a family of bikers. What was it kind of expected that you'd have a bike rather than a car?
I don't think my mum was ever really into bikes so much, but she sort of has to put up with myself and my dad, and it was something that I'd always sort of wanted to do and have. I suppose it was probably my father's influence, if I'm honest. So, and it was something that I grew up with. So I just went with it, really, and I've always enjoyed it. And I've met a lot of friends, a lot of people I know have become close friends. Are all sort of related through bikes. Really, that's the pivotal thing.
What do you enjoy about it?
It's hard to pinpoint. I think it's the freedom and the fact that it is. You do feel free when you're on a bike, and you do feel that you sort of any worries that you've got. I mean, it's a funny thing that obviously my job revolves around bikes, and if I've had a day where things have just been getting on top of me a bit, and I get on the bike to go home, and by the time I get home, I feel totally relaxed, and I just feel sort of refreshed by it somehow, and that's quite an odd thing when it's something that you're with all day. You know, I mean, do disc jockeys go home and play records? You know, probably they do. I don't know, but
sometimes they do.
Yeah, so that's what gives you that release. That's what gives you the release.
The thing is, and I know you've got a business selling motorbikes.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that in a bit. But it can be dangerous, can't it?
Of course it can. But of course, so can riding a push bike, so can driving a car, so can doing a parachute jump. There is obviously there's an element of that, and it's one of those things that I kind of knew you would probably bring up. Accident statistics are down massively this year, which is good, and obviously any accident on one is bad news. We don't want that. We want as business owners and as motorcyclists, we want people to go out there, enjoy themselves, have a good time, and come back in one piece.
The thing is, speaking as someone who's ridden a bike a couple of times, but certainly not being very experienced at it, I know that if I'm tired, the car will kind of get me home. If I was tired, I don't think I'd trust myself on a bike.
Well, if you are tired, you probably really shouldn't trust yourself in your car, should you?
I know what you're saying, but
you know what I mean?
Sometimes you have to get home
you
at
do,
1 o'clock in the morning.
You do. Well, I tend to feel that I do sort of go to a sort of higher level of alertness when I'm on a bike, which is I'm sort of really, really, really focused. And I've ridden a bike since I was 17. I'm now 42, and touch wood, and I'm touching wood now. I haven't had any...
That's probably fake BBC.
No, that's proper wood, that's proper wood. I can see that's wood. You know, and a lot of that's down to experience and just watching and, you know, being so careful with what you do. And you've got to be... You have got to be alert. But I think that does make you a heck of a better car driver. There's no two ways about that, you know. If you had to drive a car around with a 6-inch nail sticking out the steering wheel, you'd be careful, wouldn't you?
Yes, I think you would. So... Is biking more popular these days?
It certainly seems to be on the increase, yes. It does seem... The market isn't up, the market's down, but the number of bikes on the road seems to be up slightly, and it certainly seems to be a popular pastime, definitely. And it's getting a little bit more than just a pastime as well. Certainly at our Manchester store, we're finding a lot of people using it for commuting, certainly congestion and parking fees, and it's becoming almost a necessity, isn't it, to get into a major city. You know, you try to get into Manchester at 9 o'clock in the morning, it's blooming hard work.
And I guess it's cheaper than a car.
Well, obviously, if you get something that's aimed at the commuter market, then it is. Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, if you go and buy a sort of out-and-out top-end sports bike, it's not going to be cheaper than a car, but buying commuter type stuff, certainly scooters, and we do Vespa scooters, and Triumph do a Bonneville, which is they do like a basic Bonneville, which is very, very economical, and that sort of thing is absolutely fantastic from a running cost point of view, and particularly time saving as well, which is good.
Excellent. We'll talk more in a second. UB40, I Can't Help Falling in Love with You. They were playing the Croppedy Festival down in Oxford at the weekend, but I missed them because they were on Thursday and I didn't get there till Friday. We'll find out what happened at the Croppedy Festival after 11 o'clock tonight. I'll be talking to Simon Nicol from the legendary Fairport Convention, an interview I did at the weekend. I'm talking tonight to Philip Youles from Youles Motorcycles in Blackburn and Manchester. New store coming in Manchester. Yeah,
we've got the opening night of that on Thursday of this week, which is the launch night. It starts at 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock. We've got a guy called Kevin Carmichael there, who's a ex-world champion stunt rider, and a few other things going on as well. So that's anybody wants to come down.
Sounds exciting. We'll find out more about that in a bit. Let's talk to Maureen in Burnley. Hello, Maureen.
Hello.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Are you a biker, Maureen?
I'm not actually, no.
You want to ask us something? What do you want to ask?
Yeah, what it is, I've got a couple of grandsons, and they're interested in motorbiking, but I'm just wondering, you know, considering the state of the roads these days, how I can, you know, like motorbiking on the roads, how safe is it?
Well, obviously, anything that's on the road, there's always going to be an element of danger. But the main thing I think to think of with anybody that's certainly going to go on the road starting from afresh, and I would do the same with my own children, is obviously to ride a motorbike.
Would you encourage your own children to go motorbiking?
Yeah, of course I would. Yeah,
would
absolutely.
You?
Yeah.
Would you not be concerned, like, for the safety?
Well, I'm concerned about my children's safety with everything they do, as every parent is.
To improve the roads?
Well, obviously not personally, in that I'm not actually out there personally improving the road safety, other than promoting it.
What about motorbike like?
Philip does sell motorbikes. Yeah, he's not in charge of making the roads better.
You know, I'm not the sort of Secretary of State for Transport. But obviously, I have a vested interest in it. But my point I'm trying to sort of get to will be that nowadays, to get on a bike, you can't. And when I first started, you could just get on one, you could just ride it, and there was no training at all. It was just basically luck. You know, you could go to a bike shop, you could pick your bike, get your keys, and off you went. Nowadays, you have to do what's called the CBT, which stands for Compulsory Basic Training, which is before you can even go on the road on the bike, you have to do this. It's a day's training.
Do they take into account the safety of the road?
They would take into account somebody. They assume that you know absolutely nothing. So you'd start off as if, and you could do this yourself. You know, you could go on and just do this CBT if you wanted to, and you do a day's course, and then at the end of that course, you get a certificate to say that you can then go on the road unaccompanied and a little bit depends on your age on what size of bike you can go on. It's quite complicated. But, for instance, they can then go out on the road. Now, then obviously they've got to go and take the test. Yeah. Now, they're on a fairly small bike at that stage, up to a maximum of up to 125cc if they're 17 years of age. Now, there's nothing to stop them then going and getting more tuition and more... more lessons, which will need lessons anyway to pass the test. So the test regime is quite strict, and there's done a lot of work. I mean, nobody's ever going to sit here and say that absolutely everything. I mean, crossing a pelican crossing has got some inherent dangers, and just being a pedestrian.
But these days, the roads are really dangerous.
Well, yeah, and obviously that's why you've got to have training and.
I could be perfectly happy to let your son go out on the roads.
Well, my son goes on the back of me, so you know.
I take it more in that you're not happy about your grandchildren.
You're not. No. Well, I think the point...
There's so many people injured on motorbikes these days. I think it's a really dangerous game.
The actual statistics state that this year they're 10% down on last year, and the accidents are 15% down on the year previous. So, actually, accidents are falling. Now,
what would you suggest, Maureen?
Well, I suggest that the councils get the roads improved.
Well, we'd all like that, of course, wouldn't we? That would be lovely, but...
but, like, we've had a lot of bad winters, and, like, they've played havoc with the roads.
Yeah. But see, the things
that... 2 years...
When they're training you to ride a motorbike, it's quite interesting you should say that, because when you're going in with somebody who's never ridden a motorbike and you're sat as a passenger in a car, you think... they don't even seem to avoid. See, they don't even seem to avoid potholes. Whereas when you're actually a biker and you're riding down the road and you see a pothole, you make sure you avoid it. So you could argue that the training of riding a bike actually improves your road usage and your consideration of other road use.
You're not at all concerned then.
Well, obviously, we as an industry and as a body, the last thing we want is people being hurt on them. What we want them to do is enjoy themselves and have a good time.
But these previous bad winters haven't played havoc with the roads, created many more, dangerous potholes.
I would imagine, Maureen, in terms of, I've seen roads elsewhere around the world, in America, in Europe, and those roads are nowhere near as good as our roads are. Our roads aren't perfect, but they're some of the best roads in the world.
So maybe we've got less hazardous.
I think if your grandsons are interested in bikes, you've got to. You're not going to stop them if they really want to do it. And the best thing you can do is encourage them to get as much training as possible.
Our roads are perfectly safe for motorbikers. That's what you're saying.
I think our roads are perfectly safe for motorbikes if they're used in the correct manner, properly, and everybody's and you're watching what you're doing. But I mean, nobody can sit here and say that everything's safe because
yet you get a lot of people writing up saying that they're not safe for cars. Even the cars are. People who are car owners are complaining about the state of the roads.
Yeah, of course.
And you're saying it's safe for motorbikes.
Well, I think riding a motorbike is safe. I ride a motorbike a lot, and I think it's safe.
Oh, God be with you.
Maureen, thank you for calling. Maureen's hung up on us.
Well, that was a bit harsh, wasn't it?
Goodness me, Maureen, thank you for calling tonight. I know you were concerned about the state of the roads, and I don't think anyone's ever going to convince you that the roads aren't as bad as you think they are.
I think we're all concerned about the state of the roads, aren't we, really? We'd love them to be brilliant.
Well, certainly, we would all like the roads to be fantastic. But you go, as I was saying to Maureen, trying to say to Maureen, you go around the world and you see some extraordinary roads.
Yeah.
And clearly, our roads aren't perfectly safe, but they're a lot safer than most of the world.
Absolutely, yeah. Particularly went to like India or Sri Lanka or somewhere like that.
Absolutely. Tell you what, let's find out how safe the roads are now with the travel news. Oh, the travel news have gone. Goodness me. They'll be back soon. It's John Barnes here.